Hi guys, welcome to Taylor Talks Trades. Today we have got NFRC Scotland manager John McKinney, and he's going to tell us all about what NFRC's been doing in the industry as well as the Build Your Future programme. Let's get straight into it. So how did you get into the construction industry?
I fell upon it. I just my father actually serviced the NFRC before myself in Scotland, and when he got another job and coming into something else, then the opportunity arose and I fell into it and absolutely loved it from the day one. And I've been here for a fair few years since.
Yep. And so you've obviously got a real passion for the trades then. I've seen you on LinkedIn and different things, and I didn't know the full extent to what it is you're doing, but I've seen you going into like schools and trying to make kind of links between different people in the industry. Could you tell me a wee bit more about that?
Yeah, well, thanks, Jamie. We've been doing it for about 10 years now. It was 2012 for Scottish Apprenticeship. We delivered our first skills demonstration in Edinburgh Castle. And from that, it just evolved. And working with Historic Environment Scotland and other partners across the supply chain, what we try and do is we don't promote roofing in itself. We promote construction and the wider version of construction, because there's absolutely no point in having loads of roofers if there's no brickies, if there's no joiners or anybody else within the supply chain. So what we try and promote is the whole range of construction careers, and the huge variety that are within them. And trying to address some of the issues regarding diversity as well is a huge issue that we're trying to do as well. And we've got a lot of momentum. So what happened was, delivering these events, we sort of slowly built up and became a bigger part of the job. And they're always well received. But then a little thing called COVID came along in the pandemic, so we couldn't go into schools and deliver anything. But it was an ideal opportunity to review what we did. And ironically, my wife thought, oh, you won't be able to go out to all these meetings during the pandemic, which is right, obviously. So she bought lots of paint to paint the house. I did get started, but I've not got anywhere near finished because it's been so busy the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And what we've done within that review of our school engagement, we created Build Your Future.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's working with DYW, Developing Young Workforce. And what that is, we used to come into a school and deliver a very well-received event. And for the roofing side, they used to dress a slate and then hole a slate and put it on a rig. Mm-hmm. And then it was a 25-minute mini masterclass. They'd move on to another trade. Yeah. But then that would be the one interaction with construction. We would disappear, go back to my day job, and then another school would ask us to do it, and we'd get more and more momentum. But now what we've done is we've created an online concept, which is the schools deliver this online element, and it's led by the teachers or DYW school coordinators, and then we come in and deliver our skills event. So instead of it being a one-off, it's part of a programme. And then what we've done as well is we've created other activities which the school can then bring in. So where it was one-off, now you're seeing a programme that's actually lasting a year. That's for the schools. So we timetable it in, it's a flexible model that works with the schools. And we've worked with Hubby Central, and we've delivered a pilot in Stirling for Hubby Central for their community benefits. We're working with West Lothian Council and the West Lothian Construction Forum, which we've been started to get involved with to deliver them in West Lothian. Edinburgh, just last week we were down in Jedburgh, delivering a skills event in Jedburgh. Glasgow, Edinburgh Council, Stirling, Falkirk, East Lothian, I'm meeting them tomorrow, are all interested in using Build Your Future for their community benefits. So by that way, we create the capacity and the idea is to deliver this in every single high school every year in Scotland. Big ask, but we're not going to change it. If you look at the police service, and you're not as old as me, Jamie, but when I was younger, and it was a long time ago, if I saw a female police officer, it'd be a WPC, she'd have a different uniform, she'd carry a handbag with a truncheon specially made for the size of the handbag, and I'd go, look, a WPC. Now, if my kids see 2 female police officers walking down the street, they don't give them a second look. Now, that is not, the police service did not get from where it was to where it is by just continuing doing the same thing. They had a huge review of the way that they engaged with the recruitment. And that's what we're trying to do with Build Your Future, is that in the future generations, where my kids or my grandkids, hopefully, at some stage won't be going, oh, look, there's a woman working on a construction site. It'll be of course they are. And the whole diversity issue there. So there's been a huge amount of work in that area. And so we're actually going up to Argyll and Bute in May and doing a wee bit of a roadshow down Argyll and Bute. So we've been in the borders. We're getting really quite Scotland-wide.
Yeah,
Becoming
and
a lot
I've
of
seen
activity.
that a lot of it looks quite aimed towards like historic stuff as well. So it's like maybe like Scotch slate, stonemasonry, getting involved in sandstone and stuff. Is that? Am I right in saying that's predominantly it's the sort of those sort of trades?
That is the trade at the moment that we're pitching it at in respect of just to engage the young person, to get them asking questions. We are also looking at how you can maybe make a roof tile in that 25 minutes. But what we're looking for, if other elements of roofing want to come on and say it's a 25-minute mini masterclass that would be industry-led, and that's the big thing, is it's industry-led, so it's a tradesperson, an employer, giving them that insight. And then, so it's very easy for slating. Dress a couple of slates, you dress a slate into a coaster, they take it home, say, look what I did at school today. And put it on a rig. If their flat roofing activity could be done safely and said, here's a wee 25-minute mini masterclass that we can deliver in schools, we'd love to do that. We're just struggling to find what that would look like at the moment. So it is aimed at slating at the moment, but there's no reason why we wouldn't involve others if we can find that activity.
And what sort of feedback have you had from like the sort of kids that's seen it? It's probably both boys and girls. What's the feedback been like there?
It's hugely positive. As much as you can get a teenager to be positive about anything at school, it's like, well, you enjoy it? Yeah. But no, it is very positive. And we have had some anecdotal feedback in respect of that it's influenced their career choices. We need to get better at that. We've developed a very good model, and the feedback, we've worked with education in that, with developing young workforce, it's been key to it, and industry, just bringing the three together. But the next phase, without a doubt, is to develop that model even more, but then we need to get better in our feedback to make sure it's hitting the right marks for them. The feedback from the teachers are very positive, and that's probably as good a feedback as well, because the teachers maybe get a wee bit more longevity in respect of what the young people got out of it.
It's good in the sense that, like, well, when I was at school, it was like you just never knew actually anything about trades. Like my dad was in the like concrete floor sort of industry, and that's what he did. But it wasn't like a sort of an apprenticeship route or anything as such. But like you never really knew what a trade was. You never got shown in school like there's cutting slates or anything along the lines of that. So now it's just actually opening their minds to say there's a whole other pathway. I think that's quite exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, you're totally right, Jamie. And what we've identified is, on average, it's about 65% of the young people who start in a modern apprenticeship go on to complete it. So that's 35% are dropping out, and normally within the first 6 months. Now, that's not the young person's fault. It's not education's fault. It's sort of industry's fault, because we're not getting in there. And when I say industry, I mean trade associations. You're running a business. But we're not getting in there to help them make an informed choice about their career. So they go, I want to go into construction. Well, what do you mean by that? Oh, look, there's a roofing apprenticeship. I'll try that. 6 months later, go, didn't want that. I'll try something else. But if we can get into the schools, we can actually increase that apprenticeship success rate up to into the 90%. And that'll take a huge step towards addressing the skills gap. Without taking on more apprentices, it's actually getting more apprentices coming through and passing, and also addressing diversity issue.
Yeah, that's a big part of the podcast for me, is like on a personal point of view, is trying to get trades business owners in here speaking about it, what their journey's been from apprentice all the way to business owner, if that's the route that they've went down, and how they're doing that. And I think that's showing the pathway to these this younger generation, the generation coming through, to actually show them that, look, like you said there, they might go into it and do it for 6 months and not really know. So if we can educate them enough to say, for example, we had Scott Miller on earlier, he's went from here all the way to here, carried out the full journey, employing lots of people now and passing all them skills on. It's like, that's what you can do with it if you do get into the trade. But there's also just the fact that some people might just want to get into it, learn the skills, stay employed, go down that route as well. And it's just, I'm trying to kind of get that diversity to say, look, get the trade and you can do X, Y, and Z with it. The options are then quite unlimited after that, to be honest. There's so much you can do with it. So I think that's probably what we're trying to do is educate the kids, and I think the programme Build Your Future, I think that's going to do it as well, because it's going to let them see it and get a feel for it before they maybe just leaving school, quickly find an apprenticeship into it and then go, this isn't really what I want to do. So the more they can read up on it and see it and maybe even feel it and stuff, actually by doing the skills, then I think that's a great thing.
So I'm going to be on the phone to you soon, Jamie, because we've got West Lothian Council are wanting to do this.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of schools that we want to run it. So I'll be on the phone asking you if you want to help us.
Yeah,
but what we've done is, with the roof training group, where in the past the roofer would have to bring their own rig, the slates and all this, Historic Environment Scotland now bring a roof rig, all the slates, all the tools, all the PPE. So when the contractor comes in to help us, they just turn up on the day. So you don't have any time the day before or after to set up. That's all done in advance. And so we're trying to make it as easy for the contractor.
Making it easier, because business owners are really, really busy. Like that's the thing. So, and that's probably like a big hurdle for a lot of them, is actually trying to even get away from your business for a morning to network or anything can always be quite difficult. So I think that's great that you're trying to get the platform so that they can just turn up, show the skills, and almost get back out again. That's really good. Definitely.
Another thing we're doing, Jamie, is CPDs. We've developing or delivered CPDs, and we're just starting a programme of CPDs again with Architecture and Design Scotland this month. So it's the 31st of this month on lead roofing, and then we've got slating as well before summer. And what that is tradespeople talking to the professionals about roof slating or roof lead work, as opposed to a polished presentation that's been pre-prepared by somebody in marketing. The professionals want to hear it from the tradesperson, and we're trying to engage across the supply chain, that you're having that dialogue, so that it's you're not maybe hearing the politically correct or the answer. You're actually hearing the true on the spot, on the site. This happens. What would you do? And the tradesperson and the construction professionals really like that approach. So we've got 5 councils. We've developed with numerous councils. Scottish Borders Council are interested in Architecture and Design Scotland. So we've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years as well. And the key, the USP has been the tradespeople leading it, rather than and not trying to sell any product on the back of it. It's just trying to highlight the roles within roofing. It's
really good.
They wouldn't have heard of otherwise. Maybe.
I think even if you're getting the tradespeople in and they're delivering, say, the demonstration, the children or whoever it is, if it's the colleges or whoever, they can then say, well, what is it like in the trade, or do you know what's the positives, what's the negatives, and you probably just be able to get that wee extra bit of insight as well. Whereas if it's someone who's not actually been in the trade and out there and haven't done it, then they're probably not got the full picture that it does.
Oh, totally. You're 100% right. There is that engagement with, and also, you know, for West Lothian, and I hope you can help us with this, but it's a local employer. So somebody they could work for in the future. An employer coming from Inverness to Livingston, it was like, oh, I'm never going to work for them, and vice versa. So it's that local employer element. They go, all right, and then somebody might come or go into the same school as you, and they go, all right, and there's that. You have that connection. They go, all right, and
that's quite good.
You know, I could be like you in a few years' time, because that you've come from similar background to myself.
Definitely. So what's the next big step then to try and drive it forward?
At the moment, it's using community benefits like local authorities and Scottish Futures Trust to create the capacity to deliver in every single high school across Scotland.
That's a good goal. It's a big goal, but it's like somebody's got to create it and try and get after it.
So Scottish Futures Trust have done with the Hub East Central, have done a pilot in Stirling, and then we've started discussions in Fife for them, because they've got 3 big contracts coming up in Fife. Met with Fife Council, they're very keen as well. Edinburgh Council are running a pilot in 3 schools this year, and they're looking to roll it out to every single high school next year, offer it to every single high school next year. Glasgow Council are going to offer it to 7 high schools next academic year, with a view of rolling it out in every high school. So that's going to be your 2 biggest local authorities. West Lothian, East Lothian, Mid Lothian, Scottish Borders, Fife, Stirling, Falkirk. I'm trying to think the other ones that we've spoken to. And what is it, Scotland Excel have included it as an option, because it was a wee bit too early for us within their energy saving framework for their community benefits. So it's to create the capacity to deliver it. That is our goal. But what we also want from Build Your Future is we never want it to stand still in respect of what the model is. Whilst yes, the skills demonstrations are very well received, and personally, I don't think that has evolved over 10 years. I think the other elements, the online element needs to change and improve. And but you know what? If you don't start, if you try to get the perfect model, you'll never do anything.
Exactly.
And what we've done is we've got a very good model. The model's been very well received, and we want to evolve that continually. So in 10 years' time, I still want to be changing it.
Yeah.
But changing it, improving it
as it goes.
Yeah. And that's by having that interaction with trade, education, DYW, and then working out. And yes, of course, we're doing it. We're hoping to get it perfect the first time, but having the critical partners like the Federation who actually say it's not quite how we would want it, or education, creating that safe space where they can say, actually, no, that's
a lot of opinions to actually manage as well.
And encouraging that environment where people feel that they can actually say, you're not doing that right, because this is the best way of doing it.
Well, the thing is, if someone says, if you do it like this, I'll get involved, and it might be like it's a small tweak and a meet in the middle. What do you see as being the biggest challenge then to get to that goal of having it in every high school?
I suppose it's capacity, just to organising capacity. It's one is creating the capacity through the community benefits. It's being very well received, and the other side is creating the capacity of tradespeople who want to volunteer their time to do it as well, but also then the capacity to coordinate it with DYW industry. And we're in a sort of transitional phase whereby we had a model that was working really well, but it was very small.
Yeah.
We've sort of gone to identifying a really big model that everyone's saying yes to, and we're going, wait a minute, we're coming from here to there, and we're going through a transitional phase, and we've got to keep the momentum going. Yeah. So that's going to be a hard couple of years, but I think once we get over that, and I'll give you an example. What happened was, the good one was in Perth. We delivered our skills demonstration in Perth, the first one, and I went up, must have been about 10 times, or it felt like 10 times, and organising it with the Perth City Heritage Trust. And lots of work. And then the next year, I went up once, and the woman, Sarah there, who was organising, went, is that it? And it's because you've done it once, it's easier to do it again. And then now, I only turn up for the event and help with the event because they organise it totally. So that was okay with one area, but we're going through loads of areas going through that transitional phase. So if we can get through to where Perth is, and other areas are now, they've done that as well. Stirling's a good example that they've got where they are. If we can get lots of other areas, so it's just that transitional phase, I reckon, the next 2 years where we're building capacity locally to develop that.
I think a big thing is going to be the collaboration of the industry, and that's sort of a big part of this podcast for me is sitting down with other business owners and specifically roofing companies and saying, we're no competitors, let's make the industry better, because I'd rather the jobs were getting done right out on site, apprentices were coming through and being taught the right way. Do you know, all of these things, the NFRC, I know that they're big on making sure that it's done properly. So all of these different bits all tie together, and I think that's what something like this will take. Like, maybe even if I was to get involved, then it's like then encouraging others to get involved, and they'll be like, look, just because Taylor Roofs is maybe involved in doing this, it doesn't mean that X, Y or Z roofing can't get involved as well. Your area needs you, our area needs us. Let's try and collaborate, and rather than it being a competitive thing, it's like, look, let's all get involved in it, because the more good tradespeople that's getting involved, then the more benefit to the next generation coming through, which will obviously keep the trades alive, is what the goal is.
That's exactly it, Jamie. Yeah, it's not a competition, this, so we want as many of you can to get involved. So that's great, yeah.
Well, John, thanks very much. Lots of information there, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.
Okay,
thanks very much. Thank you.
Cheers, Jamie.